In the small town of Coudersport, Pennsylvania, the story of John Rigas once looked like the American dream come to life. A first-generation Greek-American, Rigas was celebrated as a humble, self-made entrepreneur who brought prosperity to rural America by founding a cable company and turning it into a multi-billion-dollar communications powerhouse. But behind the Norman Rockwell facade lay one of the most audacious and personal corporate frauds in American history. John Rigas was born in 1924 in Wellsville, New York. After serving in World War II, he attended Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and eventually settled in Coudersport. In 1952, he purchased a failing cable television franchise for just $300, wiring a few homes in rural Pennsylvania. The business was humble, and Rigas was known for doing everything himself, installing cable lines, knocking on doors, and issuing handwritten bills. By the 1980s, the cable television boom was in full swing, and Adelphia Communications Corporation, named after the Greek word for brothers, began expanding aggressively. Rigas, joined by his sons Timothy, Michael, and James, acquired dozens of smaller cable systems, consolidating them under the Adelphia name. Their strategy was bold: borrow heavily, expand rapidly, and cultivate Wall Street's trust with a wholesome family image. By 2000, Adelphia was the fifth largest cable operator in the United States, with over 5 million subscribers and a market value in the billions. The Rigases were seen as visionary underdogs who had built a media empire from scratch. Coudersport flourished as Adelphia's headquarters, a high-tech hub in the middle of Pennsylvania wilderness. But what investors didn't know was that the Rigas family had blurred the line between company finances and the family treating Adelphia's coffers as their own bank account. Behind the scenes, the Rigases had created a shadow network of off-the-books entities, shell companies, and secret borrowing vehicles. In March 2002, the deception began to unravel when Adelphia disclosed $2.3 billion in unrecorded debt that had been quietly taken on by the Rigas family, but backed by the company without shareholder knowledge or approval. The scale of personal enrichment was staggering. The family used company funds to buy 17 golf courses, dozens of luxury properties, and even footed the bill for a $13 million golf course in Coudersport. While marketed as a gift to the town, it was paid for by shareholders under the guise of business development. Among the most bizarre expenditures was John Rigas's annual tradition of buying 20,000 Thanksgiving turkeys with company money. And then there were the loans, millions upon millions in loans, signed off without oversight. John Rigas took out an $85 million personal loan through the company. His sons lavished themselves with corporate jets, private homes, and even ski lodges, and none of it disclosed properly. Caught in the middle of it all was Jim Brown, Adelphia's assistant treasurer. Brown was no Wall Street hotshot. He was a steady, earnest professional who had joined Adelphia in the 1990s, believing in its mission. Like many others, he had relocated to Coudersport for the opportunity, invested in the company's stock, and threw his lot in with the Rigas vision. In the early years, Brown said, working at Adelphia felt like being part of something special. He later recalled, "It wasn't just a company, it was a family. We believed in what John was building." But over time, Brown noticed cracks beneath the surface. Financial statements that didn't add up, requests for funds with no clear documentation, and an environment where asking too many questions was seen as disloyal. Brown's loyalty cost him dearly. When the scandal broke, he was forced out of the company he helped grow. His stock holdings, once a source of pride and financial security, were rendered worthless. He lost his retirement savings, his sense of purpose, and his trust in the system. John Rigas was like a father figure, Brown said in a later interview. He'd walk through the office handing out advice, remembering your kids' names, and all the while, he was looting the company we thought he built for us. On July 24, 2002, federal prosecutors indicted John Rigas and two of his sons, Timothy and Michael, on multiple counts of securities fraud, wire fraud, and bank fraud. The charges laid bare the rot at the core of Adelphia's operations. The trial, which began in March 2004, captivated the country with tales of forged documents, fraudulent loans, and a total lack of corporate governance. Prosecutors exposed a culture where control rested in a single family's hands and where oversight had been replaced by nepotism and secrecy. In July 2004, John and Timothy Rigas were convicted on multiple counts. John, by then 80, was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Timothy received 20 years. Michael Rigas avoided prison time after a mistrial, but later reached a settlement with the government. Adelphia Communications was dismantled and its assets sold off to Time Warner and Comcast in 2006. Even in the face of overwhelming evidence, John Rigas maintained that his intentions were never malicious. In a 2005 interview, he said, "I may have made mistakes, but I never stopped believing in Adelphia. My heart was always in the right place." But that sentiment rang hollow to many in Sport, a town that had risen and fallen with Adelphia's fortunes. The economic collapse was swift. Hundreds of jobs were lost, businesses shuttered, and the warm, paternal figure of John Rigas was recast as the architect of a community's betrayal. In 2016, Rigas was released from prison early due to terminal cancer. He returned to the town he once enriched and ultimately devastated, living quietly until his death in 2021. Today, the story of Adelphia is more than a financial scandal. It's a tale about the dangers of concentrated power, unchecked loyalty, and blurred lines between family and fiduciary duty, and that even the kindest smiles can hide the cruelest truths. We are a growing channel and appreciate your support. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video so we can keep making more content and continue to improve our quality. We at the Capital Curiosity team thank you for your support and can't wait to bring you even better content in the future.